All the students for the new video series. So in the yesterday's session we had the introduction to the chemistry paper pattern as well as to the practical syllabus and the marking scheme. So in case if anyone has missed those videos, you can go back and check those videos and then come to this particular part. So today we are going to begin with the chapter. So as you all know that chemistry has a 16 chapters, part 1 and part 2. So today we are going to start with the part 1, that is the solid state chemistry, right? So in the solid state chemistry, before going for the chapter, I would like to take you all to the physical states of matter in the class 11th, right? So what is the matter? First we will understand what is the matter. Matter means something which occupies space and volume is said to be a matter, right? So this is what we had learned in the earlier classes. Matter is nothing but something which occupies a space and volume is said to be a matter. Now take an example of this board. This board is occupying some space and this board is having some volume. So this is said to be a matter, and matter exists everywhere in the universe. Now this particular matter is divided into three parts, that is solid, liquid and gases, right? So they are existing in the three forms: solid, liquid and gases. So what is the solid? Now we are going to focus mostly in this particular part, solid. We are not going to focus on the liquid and the gases because our chapter itself is the solid state. Now what is the solid? Solid means solid is a substance that is characterized by definite shape and volume, right? So this is the meaning of a solid. Solid is a substance that is characterized by the definite shape and volume. So this is what we are going to learn in this particular chapter, solid state, about the solid and the different kinds of a solid and the classification of the solid, right? So let's start with the solids. We'll first see the properties of the solid. Properties of a solids. Yes. Now before beginning, let me tell you one thing. This particular solid state comes under the physical chemistry. You know there are different branches of chemistry, that is physical chemistry, organic chemistry, inorganic chemistry, analytical chemistry and biochemistry. I told you in the 11th standard only that different chemistry has a different roles in our life. For example, physical chemistry deals with the matter and energy, organic chemistry deals with the chemical reaction, inorganic chemistry deals with the metals, elements, their physical and their chemical properties, right? Analytical chemistry is a physical chemistry, or we can say where the physical methods are being used for the separation, analysis as well as for the crystallization and purification of the compound, right? So this is what we had learned about the different types of a chemistry, or we can say the classification of the chemistry. Now let's talk about the properties of the solids. Property number 1, solids are rigid in a nature, right? So we had learned about the solids since our 8, 9, 10 classes. We had learned the properties of the solid also. We know that what is the rigidity. Solids are rigid in a nature. Rigidity means what? For example, if I take this pen, right? If I try to press this pen is a solid, right? If I try to press or apply the pressure on this, it will not change its shape and volume, right? So that is why we say that solids are rigid in a nature. If we take the another example, if I take a rubber band, can we move the rubber band if we apply the pressure? Yes, we can move to and fro to the rubber band. Then is it not a solid? Yes, it is also a solid, but it is a elastic solid, right? So solids are also having the elasticity as well as the non-elastic solids, right? So this is point number 1. Then point number 2, solids have definite shape and definite volume, right? Now you all know that what are solids. Solids are those which are having the definite shape and definite volume. This is what I had cleared you earlier only. Now let's take the example of this. If I take the example of this board is having a definite shape and board is occupying a definite volume. Suppose if I come tomorrow again for the lecture, the board is not going to change its shape, or the board is not going to occupy the more volume. It is going to occupy the same volume as well as it is going to have the same shape. That is why it is said that solids are those which are having a definite shape and a definite volume. Next, point number 3 will be solids have high density. Solids have a high density. Now what is high density? That means the particle arrangement in the solid or the constituent particles are tightly packed or closely packed in the case of a solids. Now let's see the particle arrangement. See, these are nothing but the constituent particles. See, this is the constituent particles. The constituent particles are almost having negligible space among them, right? So we can say that solids are those which are tightly packed or closely packed to each other, which are having a negligible amount of spaces to move, and that is why they also have a low kinetic energy, or we can say almost no kinetic energy. So I hope you have understood what is solid. Solids have a high density, right? Okay, so these are the properties. Now we'll see the types of a solid. Simultaneously, I request all the students, you have to note it down, whatever I am giving in the lecture, so that it will be useful for you in the form of notes. So solids are classified into 2 types, that is crystalline solid and amorphous solid. Crystalline solid and amorphous solid, right? Now what is a crystalline solid? Crystalline solids are those solids which have a definite pattern of arrangement, right? And here it will be a vice versa, that is amorphous solids are those solids which do not have a definite pattern of arrangement. So I hope that you have understood what is the difference between the crystalline solid and the amorphous solid, but this is only the difference in the meaning, but we'll see the main distinguish between the crystalline solid and the amorphous solid. So I request all the students to please note down the differentiation points. Let's see the differentiation points between the crystalline solid and the amorphous solid. So make a table. On the left hand side, crystalline solids. On the right hand side, amorphous solids. Okay, now point number 1. Point number 1 will be definite shape, no definite shape, right? So they have a definite shape, they have a no definite shape. See, here definite shape means what? They are existing in a particular pattern. See, these constituent particles are having the same shape, same size, and they are following a long range of order, right? That is why we say that they have some kind of a definite shape and they don't have any kind of a definite shape. Now here the word amorphous is a Greek word where A stands for no and morphous stands for form. That means there is no form. That means there is no definite shape, right? We'll extend. Point number two. Point number two means here we can talk about the melting point. Melting point of the crystalline solids are sharp. Melting points of the crystalline solid are sharp. Melting point is gradual. Okay, now let's understand what is the sharp melting point and what is the gradual melting point, right? Now let's take the example, any XYZ organic compound which has a melting point of 80 degrees Celsius, right? Now let's say that when the temperature is risen up to 79 degrees Celsius or goes up to 79 degrees Celsius, in between when the temperature goes from 79 to 80, you will see that there is a sharp melting or sharp conversion of a solid state to a liquid state. Now this sharp conversion is nothing but called as the sharp melting point. I hope that you have understood. Similarly, for the gradual melting point, now let's talk any organic compound having a 100 degrees Celsius melting point, right? And the melting will start, the melting of the solid will start from 80 degree Celsius. So I hope that you have understood the difference, what is the sharp melting point and the gradual melting point. So you have to note down this. Okay, then point number three. Point number three, they follow a long range of order. Long range order. Then they follow short range order, right? Long range order and short range order. I told you that they have a definite shape and they follow a long range order. For example, we can take NaCl, 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 NaCl. So this is one kind of a ionic solid. We can see how is the arrangement of the constituent particles. One sodium, one chlorine, one sodium, one chlorine, one sodium, one chlorine. Similarly, the pattern of arrangement or the crystal is in the bottom also, right? So we can say they follow the long range order and they follow the short range order. Okay, now in this case, when you cut the crystalline solids, you will get a smooth edges. You will get the smooth edges. But when you cut the amorphous solids, you will get uneven surfaces, right? So you are getting the uneven surfaces in the case of the amorphous solids, right? Okay, then next point of differentiation, I'll rub this. I hope that you all are writing down. So fifth one, next differentiation here comes is they are true solids. Amorphous solids are pseudo solids, right? Now what is a true solid and pseudo solid? True solids means they are existing actually as a solid in a nature. That is why they are said to be a true solid. Pseudo solids means what? ये एक तरह के नकली solids है, right? For example, we can take here NaCl crystal, quartz crystal. In case of a pseudo solids, we can take the example of the glass, right? Glass are nothing but the supercooled liquids, supercooled liquids, right? So I hope that you have understood the difference. They are true solids, they are pseudo solids. Example is NaCl, quartz crystal, glass. They are also called as to be supercooled liquids. Okay, one more important point of differentiation, which is many a times it is asked in the board exam, that is isotropy and anisotropy. Crystalline solids are anisotropic and amorphous solids are isotropic. right? Crystalline solids are anisotropic and amorphous solids are crystalline solids are anisotropic, amorphous solids are isotropic. Now let's understand what is the difference between the isotropic and in the anisotropic, right? So my dear students, pay attention here. This is a very very important concept and many a times it is asked in the exam. So here in this case, now whenever you, let's take the constituent particles of the crystalline solid, AB, 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 right? So what is this AB, AB kind of a pattern? They are having a definite repeating pattern, long range of order, that means it is a crystalline solid. Now in this case, whenever you measure the refractive index, you measure the refractive index, or you measure the electrical conductivity, or you measure the dielectric constant in a different directions, you will see that they will have a different physical properties, right? So let's say when you go this way, you will get a different property. You will go by this way, you will get a different property, right? That is what is called to be a anisotropy. Now what is an anisotropy? I'll repeat it again. Anisotropy means in a different direction you get a different physical properties, is said to be a anisotropy. You can note it down. Then what is the isotropic? Isotropic means what? In a different direction they show same property, same physical property. In a different directions they show same physical properties. This is said to be a isotropic, right? So I hope that this particular differentiation you have understood. Okay, now let's move further and we will do the next classification. Now our crystalline solid is further divided into 4 types. Type number 1, molecular solids, then molecular solids, metallic solids, ionic solids, and covalent or network solids, right? So these are the types of a solid: molecular solids, metallic solids, ionic solids, covalent or the network solids. Now just we will try to understand the basic difference. Now what is the basic difference? In the case of molecular solid, the constituent atom or the constituent particle is a molecule. Constituent particle is the molecule. In this case, the constituent particle is a metal, right? Now metal can be anything. Metal can be, let's say, copper, nickel, it may be a silver, it may be an aluminium, right? So this we have learned how the metallic bonds are formed, right? This particular thing, formation of the metallic bonds, we have learned last year in 11th standard in the chapter chemical bonding, right? So you will have to revise this once again regarding the metallic bonds. Okay, talking about the ionic solids, the constituent particles are ions, that is the positive and negative ions. Example here can be NaCl. Now talking about, don't come too much forward, sir. Covalent solids. Talking about the covalent solids, here the constituent particles are atoms. Constituent particles here are the atoms, and the example are here can be given as diamond and graphite. Diamond and graphite. So you know that this covalent solid or the network solids are nothing but a very big network of a molecule or a big network molecule. Diamond, you know how diamond is formed. Diamond is nothing but the allotrope of a carbon. Graphite is also an allotrope of a carbon, right? So here in this case they are nothing but the formed by the carbon and hydrogen, right? So we can say that they are formed by the non-metals. They are formed by the non-metals. Now let's talk about their conductivity. Molecular solids, they have a very less conductivity. Then metallic solids, they are very good. They have a very good conductivity. We all know that metals are good conductors of heat and electricity, right? Then ionic solids, talking about this NaCl. If this NaCl is existing in the solid state, it has a less conductivity. And if this NaCl is existing in the form aqueous form, it will show high conductivity, right? And talking about this covalent or a network solids, they are working as the insulators, right? So I hope that you have understood the differentiation. I hope that you have understood the classification of the crystalline solids. They are classified as the molecular solids, metallic solids, ionic solids, covalent solids, or also called as the network solid. The constituent particle here is the molecule, constituent particle is the metal, constituent particle is the ions, and the constituent particles are the atoms, right? So with this, I will try to wind up this particular session. In the next session, we will come up with the next video where I will be talking about the crystal structure, lattice, brevis lattice points, and the unit cells. Please, thank you.